Hello and welcome to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. I am Mark Bathtub Skype Hoffmeyer.
And I am Jay. Wait, is that Dean Cain? Fluid? Welcome you to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. On this show, we've been through the entire Deep Blue Sea trilogy, scene by scene. Now looking at some Deep Blue Sea adjacent films. That's films featuring sharks, aquatic action, or directed by Renny Harlin. And today we are continuing through the last remaining older Renny Harlin films. We have more new ones left than we have old ones at this point. Today we're looking at 5 Days of War. What is 5 Days of War? Great question. It's a film that does exist. It's from 2011, directed by Renny Harlin. It stars Rupert Friend, Rupert Friend and Richard Coyle as a couple of war journalists.
Cannon reporters.
Exactly, yes. Who are in Georgia covering, during the Iraq War in 2007, covering a 5-day war that breaks out whilst they're there, alongside Emmanuel Chikri as a local who teams up with them. We also have the likes of Rade Sabedja, is like a guy I always love when he crops up, and Andy Garcia as the president of Georgia in a few scenes. Plus, yeah, Dean Cain is in there, as mentioned. So this is a film. It came out. It was made. It exists. I bought it for £1 on Blu-ray in a second-hand bargain bin. Blu-ray this that did not have a commentary, which is odd. It cost $12 million to make. It made $316,000 at the box office because this kind of came and went. Mark, 5 Days of War. What do you make of this?
I am so happy that I listened to the commentary. So I got the DVD and I went to the bonus features and the commentary wasn't there. And I was like, what? And then I went to audio setup and I found it. Like, why do you put some people put the commentary in the audio setup sometimes. So I always look at both. But I learned that Andy Garcia got hired because he just looks like the president of Georgia, Mikhail Saakashvili, who's now in prison. But it's, Dean Cain got cast because the president of Georgia had an American advisor. Like this movie actually had a big Russian crew.
I want to know who it was that told Mikhail Saakashvili that he looked like Andy Garcia, because he doesn't. That's some presidential brown nosing, I think. Like, hey, you should get Andy Garcia to play you. You're like twins. Like, they're no.
Imagine, hey, Andy Garcia, come play the president of Georgia, and come do this for me. This movie, like Jonathan Sheck, and he pops up, and Heather Grand's in here, and this is an odd one because listen, only Renny Harlin could deliver this on a $12 million budget. Like during the commentary, they were talking about how like the crew was sleeping in trains. He and the cast slept in a 1-bedroom house with 1 bathroom. I guess, Emmanuel walked in on him when he was going to the bathroom, like he walked in on people, like people were like, everyone was like taking up the bathroom, and he said the actors were kind of pissed, but then they all just bonded together, and like he had the entire Georgian army helping him because this was the people of Georgia wanted to get this script out there. This was a script called Georgia. And so they're like, hey, we want to make this movie. We want to tell the world what happened. But, limited resources. So they give Renny Harlin 6 weeks of pre-pro. 6 weeks, which is nothing, right? Like,
I mean, to Renny, that's like 3 years.
Oh, yeah, that's years. So they gave him years of pre-pro, and then they gave him like 40-some days to shoot the movie. And some of these days are in the middle of nowhere with not a lot of power, not a lot of this, that, and the other. And he actually loves Georgia. He bought a condo there, and he lives on the beach, which is kind of amazing because it's on it's a coastal country. But it's just an oddity because the country funded it because they want people to know about the 5 Days of War, about how the conflict started. But Jay, I read a few massive articles about how this conflict started, just so we could talk about it. And everyone's like, well, supposedly the Germans say this, the Georgians say this, the United States knew that, people knew this, people knew that. Like the Russians attacked first, the Georgians were pushing because their military strength had grown. They poked the bear, they fell into a trap. Some people are like, oh, they fell into a trap. Some people are like, oh, they had peacekeepers in here, which are seen in the movie. But like, there's no definitive, like, I guess most wars, there's no definitive, but it's just the amount of back and forth and who started and who didn't start and who poked the bear, and it's nuts. And then supposedly they shot in 36 days. But only Renny can bring this. These are real jets. These are real tanks. These are real planes. but like it's a story about this American war reporter who loses his girlfriend, played by Heather Graham, and he's all depressed, and he has to save another lady, and with a memory card.
Yeah, when the second half of the film is we need to get the memory card.
Yeah.
Basically, it's the memory card MacGuffin. Get it, take it, transmit it. Is the second act. Yeah, it's like the second 2/3 of the film, I guess.
And like, it's interesting, like the Russians aren't totally bad because Raid is in here as Alexander Demidov, and he's like, yeah, we just do this for money. I don't really care about it. Then he lets him go, and the kid is the one who kills the major, you know, what do they do? They kind of hire freelancers to go into these countries and intimidate people. But who knows what his Russian affiliation is? So like, you're like, who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? Like, I mean, it's smart that like Renny Harlin just didn't make like Schindler's List about this 5 Days War, but yeah, it gets.
Yeah. Well,
this
I mean,
it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I guess you could say he's not taken a side because as a war journalist, they're not supposed to take sides. This is the kind of what's happened with Civil War, Alex Garland's film. I haven't seen it. Well, that's out at the moment, and people say like he doesn't take a side with that, but it's about war journalists. You're not supposed to take a side.
I need a side, Jay. Take a side.
He's filmed this thing. He's trying to get the truth out, but he does seem like pretty anti-Russian when he's confronting Demidov.
Yeah.
But then
women.
They've taken Richard Coyle off to be tortured. They don't actually torture him. They just kind of tie him up, and Anders thinks he's being tortured. But then they do kill all of his friends. But then I don't know.
They lined that group up of innocent people and murdered them.
Yes. Like, that is a problem. And they like shoot an old woman's legs out in the river. If we were doing Deep Blue Scenes, that's the one we talk about.
So like, they make them the villains, right? Because
yes, very much so.
They like anything that Raid, the Raid says, or Alexander, like your dudes just murdered people, unarmed people. So it's a very murky thing, but it was also had 6 weeks of pre-pro, 6 days to shoot, and $12 million in budget, and was funded by the country of Georgia. This
isn't a fun film. This isn't like a chill hang. Like no. You're not gonna just chuckle. Let's chuckle on 5 Days of War. Let's have a cool afternoon. So I don't know in what situation people would watch this film, other than trying to complete everything, like complete all of Rennie's films, or be a Val Kilmer completest.
The problem is,
if you're a Val Kilmer completist, you're gonna be disappointed.
Rupert Friend is good. Oh yeah, he's the most alive. When he pops up, this movie's the most alive, right?
Yes, I mean, yeah. The bit you mentioned in your intro, the Skype call where he's just in the bath, is like the best 12 seconds of the film, like maybe.
And that was Val's idea. And Renny goes, Val has bad ideas and good ideas, and you have to hear all of them. And then you have to like. Because, if you ever watch a documentary about Val, he has big opinions. So I guess Renny knows to listen to all of them. And then he's like, okay, so we'll do the bathtub, but we're not going to have you skydiving off the back of a Tyrannosaurus. For budget reasons. He's also just in the middle of the war going like, yeah, this is awesome. And just.
I'm so glad you guys didn't die. Is a line he says later in the film.
I do appreciate in this movie the beer looks like real beer. It does not look like prop beer.
I love the things you pay attention to. I didn't even think to look at the liquid in the bottles. So I'm thrilled that you did.
I had to do drinks for an AMC shoot for AMC Theaters, and I had to help out with making fake drinks. And so when you watch an AMC movie for a long time, the fake drinks that people were doing, I worked on. I was like Nicole Kidman, but with props on that. But not nearly. But yeah, some of the drinks, and so like it's a pain in the butt to make fake drinks. And like a lot of times you just dump like ginger ale for a beer, but it's way too bubbly. I think they were drinking beer.
Maybe. I mean,
lager.
That's going to be the cheapest option, isn't it? If they're just trying to make this thing on a budget and quickly, it's we need beer. Let's just go and get some beer. Come on.
That's a good point.
And then that's the crew sorted for after the shoot. They can have a beer. We have all this beer. Let's go.
And they're just partying. And then while they're sleeping in a train, they're just drinking beer. Renny said that people were speaking 18 different languages on this film, on this set.
I mean, yeah, I can see that.
He speaks 3, so he had 3 covered. But yeah, they brought
He's the only one speaking Finnish. He's got it covered.
They had Russians, they had Bulgarians, they had people from all over the place working on this movie. which is like they had a Russian special effects crew, and he said that they came into some problems when the Russian special effects crew were trying to bring in some explosives. But like, hey, we have Russians a year after the war, the 5 days of like the conflict, are trying to bring in explosives for a film, and so Renny said he had to deal with that.
Oh, dear.
But I'm telling you, like, Renny wanted to. You know what happened, right? He wanted to make a war movie for many years, a Finnish war movie,
Right?
And it fell through. So he was in L.A. He got the script for this. He didn't have anything to do, and they're like, "We're shooting in 6 weeks. Can you get this done?" And Renny's like, "Yeah, I can get it done." And he got it done. He made the movie, and it makes sense. It's well shot. The acting's good. Rupert Friend's fine.
Yeah, the acting's great.
Coyle's always good.
I love Richard Coyle. I think I've talked
Grabbers.
about it on the show before. Yeah, Grabbers, but also the sitcom he was in, Coupling. I adored growing up. He was the idiot's not the right word to say about it. He's like, you know, it's the British version of Friends. There's 3 guys, there's 3 ladies, and they're all like relationships and friends, etc. And he's
I was on a break.
He's the Joey, I guess, of like the stupider one of the men. But he does it great, and he's English, but he does a perfect Welsh accent that's so good that I've known Welsh people who were amazed that he wasn't Welsh. So
it's like Juno Temple. When I realized that she was not Southern from like Southern America, I was shocked. Like I thought she's British. I didn't know Juno. Like when I heard her in Ted Lasso, I was like, she has a great accent. And Megan's like, no. Like I was like, what? I hated it. It made me really annoyed. But also too, like this movie, they were gonna rip down. They're in Stalin's Square. There's a square for Stalin because he was from the Georgia area. They were gonna rip it down because they were tired of looking at it. But Rennie's like, hey guys, can you keep it up for three weeks more? And so he had to convince the Georgian government to keep a Stalin statue up for 3 weeks more while they shot there before they tore it down. It's like this is one of those movies that's more interesting to me, at least, to like hear about how Renny pulled it off with $12 million while sleeping in a 1-bedroom farmhouse with all of his actors and his writer while his crew slept in a train. And then he just pulls it off. And he talks about safety the whole time and like no one got blown up on this. And he was like really worried about keeping people safe and shooting it and getting their days. Like that's why I love Renny, man. Like I don't think this movie's much. Like I don't even know what it's trying to say for the most part. It tries, but it's kind of watered down. But I just love that he's able to get in there and do it.
Yeah. I went in. The only thing I knew about this film was a helicopter exploded because it's on Will Slater's list of exploding helicopter films. And I was like, great, so that's going to happen at some point, and it does, and it's pretty great. So when they put out a RPG, they fire it, the helicopter explodes. Great. There's some pretty fantastic explosions and helicopters blowing up buildings and whatnot. That's all great. The effects are great. So I had no idea where the story was going. I was shocked when Heather Graham got shot immediately. I was like, oh, Heather Graham's in this. Great. Oh, Heather Graham's not in this anymore. Huh. And that opening scene is incredible.
Yeah.
It's all it's literally a handheld camera in a car. It's kind of one long take and until it's not. And they attacked and Heather Graham gets shot, and it's like the start of a war film. It's not quite Saving Private Ryan, but it's just, like pretty close for this scale. Like the opening of that. So I thought we're on for a treat here, and the film's not bad.
No.
It's just not happy at all. There's very little levity in it. There's a wedding scene where they're filming a wedding, but then that goes sour and everyone dies. Every scene they're in, as soon as there's a moment of levity, everyone dies. It's just one of those kind of things. And then occasionally you'll cut to Andy Garcia in his presidential offices, being angry, just being really angry all the time and everything, as he has his country's at war. So I guess that's a tense situation. But there's just no letting up and sitting back and having a good time at any point until the only brief moments are when all of the other reporters show up, and like Val Kilmer and Kenneth Branagh and Zoe, I can't remember her name. When they're all like, having fun, hanging out, and there's fun moments there, and then like Val Kilmer starts talking about an old toothless whore. And I thought, oh, okay, talk about that for too long. It's an odd film.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I mean, from a filmmaking standpoint, I think people could learn from Renny because there's a village here that when the Iron Curtain like collapsed, people could leave Georgia. So there's a lot of people from Greece there. So in '91, a lot of people went back to Greece because they lived there, and then they got stuck there when Russia took it over. But then he said that left the entire town empty. He says it's been empty since the '90s. That's why they were able to like blow it up. So it's like there's fun stuff to hear about like filmmaking and how he pulled it off. But yeah, like you have a dad in here, but he's a narc, and then his daughter dies.
Yeah.
I mean, but then it's kind of undercut by, we need the memory card, and then they got to get the memory card, and it's tense and it's well made and it's well shot and the actors are fine. It's a really odd one, Jay, because I've watched this movie twice. I've 2.5 times. It's in the background now when we're talking about this. I listened to the commentary. I did as much research as I could, but it's still hard to talk about because
and there's not a lot out there. There's not a lot of research out there. There's not a lot about this film that I could find at least. It just kind of it was made and then no one saw it, and I knowing that Renny wanted to make a war film makes sense now as to why he made this. Like this is a film he wanted to make, but it's just I just can't picture like wanting to sit down and watch 5 Days of War. Like if you go on Letterboxd, one person has this in their top 4, and they only have one other film in their top 4, and it's like Anna Karenina or something. It's very unlikely.
Fast 5. They just like movies with 5 in the title.
No, it's Young Victoria. Jean-Marc Vallée's film with Emily Blunt and Rupert Friend as well. Is this just Rupert Friend's
Rupert Friend's burner account? Is it Hitman 47 on there?
It's Peter Quinn's. Not to blow off his spot, but yeah, he's those are the 2 films that he's logged as being his favourites, but he hasn't actually logged watching them. So there's that.
Can we talk about Rupert Friend's recent
yes.
Wes Anderson?
I'd Renaissance. Rupert Friend in general. This is a guy who he just kind of appeared.
Homeland.
I never saw it.
He's incredible in it, man. He's so good. He won me over with that.
That's clearly where he came from then, because like he was in Asteroid City. He's great in that. Prior to that, what have I seen him in? What had I heard?
He was in Hitman.
He's great in The Death of Stalin.
Yeah, he is.
As Vasily. Vasily.
I mean, you're saying some incredible dialogue when you're with that, but
sure. Yeah.
I mean, but it's interesting. Like what Iannucci and Wes Anderson trust him, and they are very particular about their dialogue and style. So, that's a compliment that he's worked with those 2 people and they dig him.
Okay, so the Letterboxd account that I said, the name of that was I think Peter Quinn, which is Rupert Friend's name in Homeland. I think.
Oh my gosh!
This might.
Really? Is it really?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, but you know what though? He's a guy that whenever he pops up, I'm happy. Like a Simple Favor, At Eternity's Gate, The Death of Stalin. Homeland. He's in 57 episodes of that, and he's really good, man. Like, so we started watching him in 2012. Probably that's when I first kind of learned about him, and from there on, whenever we saw him, we're like, yeah. It's Homeland. It's Peter. Like because he's so good in it. So, yeah, that's kind of where I know him from. He's so good in that show, man.
Sorry, I'm pulling a thread here. The last 3 films this guy has logged are the Hitman film with Rupert Friend, A Simple Favor with Rupert Friend, and Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, he's Wickham.
The 2005 one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this guy is just. This is just Rupert Friend's burner account. He just loves Rupert Friend. Great. Why not?
That's amazing. But he's great, right? Like he has a good
really
presence.
Good. Yeah.
I guess I'm saying great, but you got to watch Homeland. I mean, no, don't watch Homeland because it's a lot. But he's very good in it.
Who has the time?
And like when you get when there's 70 episodes out of something and you haven't watched one of them, it's hard to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go binge it. But I mean, seeing him in this, he. You know what the problem is? Like, everyone's good in this movie. Like, Renny pulled so many favors. He's like, Dean Cain, catch this flight. Hey, Ray, catch this flight. Like, everyone, just get a flight out here. I'll put you in the movie. So, like, everyone's good. There's no bad performances. The action looks good. The makeup looks good. The way he shoots it looked good. Like it just. But yeah, I guess it just comes down to the script because for Renny, I think the biggest problem is, remember when we talked about Poseidon and I said that like every day they were just trying to survive on that set. Like it was just, I don't think anyone cared about the script because they're like, how do we not murder Kurt Russell? Like, how do we rewrite this and drop all this water and not murder somebody? And I think for him, when you go into a movie with 6 weeks of pre-pro, you're just catching up. He said people were flying out a couple days before the movie started. And then he was speaking 18 language. He had 18 different languages going on, and not much of a budget, and just one time the military ate all their food for his crew, so his crew had no food. So I think it's one of those movies where you're just surviving to get your days, and you're not really caring about the script all that much because you're like, I just need to shoot this. But he's the expert of that, and he went in and he shot a good movie. But I don't think he was able to. There's no time to fine tune it or to, like he said, 2-3 takes for everything in this movie. So it's just and then here's the movie. So I think, I don't know. That's my thoughts about this movie is that when you make these, it happens so quick, and after you haven't had made a movie for a long time, you're probably like, I need to do something. And I think he's the king at that. Like Bricklayer, like all these movies, I think he's just give it to Renny, give him 3 weeks of prep. Go have him shoot it. He'll get it done. So there's like a pattern with him. But he's trusted and he keeps making movies.
And like Poseidon cost 13.5 times as much as this. In fact, we should not forget.
But listen,
it made more.
Everyone's good in this movie, right?
Which is not true of Poseidon.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. This is a better movie than Poseidon is.
Yes, I think it is.
But the problem is, like, it's funded by Georgia, and it's supposed to like share the events of the world, but then they're also kind of like, well, like the Russians aren't all bad. They paid for these peacekeepers, and then it's very murky who started it, and then Andy Garcia takes you out of it every time he's in it.
He does, because he's clearly Andy Garcia. What are you doing here?
Like, just because he supposedly looks like the guy, that's the problem with casting. Where I guess it was the president's favorite actor too, but like it's like when you cast somebody, when you see him, like, is that Andy Garcia? Like, you're not in the movie anymore.
It doesn't help that he shares all of his scenes with Dean Cain, one of the most recognizable people from the late 90s, early 2000s. I think it's just when he first was in his film, he like you don't initially see him. He's like in the background of scenes, like in a mirror with other people in the room, and I'm like, guy in the background kind of looks like Dean. Wait a minute, it's Dean Cain. So just occasionally cutting from it's like really tense, rushing through a war zone, ducking and hiding, and watching people getting shot, to like, hey, Andy Garcia and Dean Cain having a chat in the Georgia version of the Oval Office. What is this? What happened? What am I watching? It's jarring. It's jarring to say the least.
There's a lot of memory card in this.
There is this way too. Well, it's loads, far more than you could possibly expect.
But I mean, what else can you do for $12 million though? That's the problem. Where what's also awesome? Like they hired an actual war photographer to be the cinematographer for this movie. A guy who had earned his chops in war photography. So even as I'm watching the scenes right now, they look great. Like this guy shot the living daylights out of it. So the guy who shot it, Chico Varese, who, I mean, like this movie looks good.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a war footage at times, and to hear that there's now a reason for that, that's excellent. I'm fully on board with that decision. Excellent.
That's why Rennie's great. I'm telling you, like so many people probably don't know how to. He hired, like he's like called all of his buddies. He got them all in for cheap. Like I just love. He's like, why don't we just get a train for the crew to sleep on? Like this is a guy. I've been listening to a lot of interviews with Renny lately, and it's kind of annoying because they're all like, oh, you like special effects, and then he's like, yeah, VFX, blah. Like that's every interview now. I would love to just talk to him about like how do you prepare for being on set? Like how do you, like when you're in the middle of Georgia speaking 18 languages, what's on your mind? Like that's the stuff I want to know about him, because I think a lot of people would just fall apart doing this, but he doesn't. He can get it made because he's just been there, done that. Now, I don't think this movie is wonderful, but I also think, who said this? Ron Howard once said that he looked at movies, he's like, okay, I do TV. Every season there's probably one great episode, like great episode. And every season there's probably 3 not great episodes, and all the rest of them are just good. They're good, solid TV episodes. And he's like, I can apply that to being a director. If I just keep making good movies, I can make a great movie here, and or like 1 every 10. I can make a couple of flops, but if I just keep making good movies, I'll have a long career. He said that in the 80s, and he's still making awesome movies. And like, I think he looks at it as, I can keep making cinema as long as it's just good. I can bat 350 and keep making movies with some home runs. And I think Renny does that. Like, he's his action home runs. He's made some movies that have hit above their weight, become cult classics. He's made a few that weren't that strong. But yeah, he just keeps making movies because you know his batting average is good and he'll get it made on budget and on time.
Yeah. I
don't know.
I don't
Sorry for that.
Anything. No,
I just
great.
Yeah.
So when Will was on this show to talk about Die Hard 2, he and I talked about whether that was the Renny film with the highest body count. And I'm not sure. I should have kept count on this one, but I didn't count. Do you reckon 5 Days of War might have a higher kill count? Because there is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, all those people are lined up on a wall and killed. They blow up the people in the car. There's a machine gun at one point leveling people. The beginning has death. Die Hard 2 has what? The gunfight. Oh, an airplane blows up.
Yeah,
that's full
Die Hard 2 has the whole plane.
Yeah.
Like, there's 200 and something souls on board that plane. Plus, there's like 25 bad guys over the course of Die Hard 2. So my guess is like roughly 250 to 300 in that film. Yeah, I don't know. There's no other contenders looking at the rest of his filmography.
He's not a murder heavy guy. Like Long Kiss Goodnight, there's death, but not a lot. Cliffhanger, there's not a lot.
Deep Blue Sea, there's a total of 13 if you count the sharks and the bird. Mindhunters is all about death, but it's not. There's only like a handful. X is the beginning.
But he kills
have that many.
the crap out of people in that movie.
He does.
So those should count for like times 3.
Sure. But even then, we're nowhere near a Die Hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Like X is the beginning and the Covenant. You think there might be more deaths in them, but there's not that many, and they're not very good. He actually a lot of his films are centered like around death. Like Cleaner is about a crime scene cleanup. It's all about murder. He has a lot of deaths in his films. So I haven't seen Devil Path. That's coming up.
So wait, body counts. Wait, directors. I just found a body count website.
Oh, fantastic. Let's go.
Directors thing. I'll look at H. Renny Harlin. Okay, so they said only 37 people die in Die Hard 2.
That's incorrect.
All right, I'm not trusting that one.
That is just plain wrong. That's a whole plane.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, no. That's not.
I'm guessing that's like actual named characters, maybe. Well, yeah.
You know what's annoying too, though? I just read an article saying that in praise of Renny Harlin, master of sturdy trash, and that's such like.
If it's sturdy, it's not trash.
Exactly. Like I hate this thing. Like people call Paul W.S. Anderson a vulgar auteur, and it's like shut up. Like and here's the thing. Like what kind of annoys me is Fincher gets $175 million to make The Killer, and he's earned it, right? He's earned it. Scorsese gets $200 million to make Killers of the Flower Moon. Nolan gets this. The Russo brothers get $250 million to make The Gray Man. I think a lot of these directors, they have a long pre-pro phase. They have a long shooting phase. They can do more than 2-3 takes. They can edit. They don't have to rush to edit. They have time. And a lot of Renny's movies don't have that. Like we talked about Hercules, or like film this in 6 days. He's a guy who can come in and make your movie make sense on budget. And so calling his films trash is just like someone honestly, like, I'm not saying you have to work on film sets to review movies, but calling his movie sturdy trash is, I feel like it's said by someone who has never. And sorry if you're listening to this and you're a big fan of ours and you love us, but I don't think it's fair. Like, I don't think he makes trash. And I think it's just, like, I don't think this movie is trash. I just think it is, and I hate saying this, but it is what it is.
I think that comparison to The Killer is great. Like, if I loved The Killer, definitely it's in my top 10 of last year. If Renny wouldn't get, was it 175? He wouldn't be given that much money to make The Killer. That wouldn't happen. But for, let's say he's given 25 million to make it, he could make a film that is not 1/7 of David Fincher's film. It would be a very solid, sturdy. It would be good. It would be maybe great. It wouldn't be phenomenal, but a lot of the time that Fincher's famous for making lots and lots of takes. And then you go and look at the VFX on the Killer, and you think, wait, hang on, that whole motorbike sequence didn't exist. Every aspect of that was CGI, from the helmet to the bike to the city, all layered over the top of each other. Whereas Renny would shoot someone on a motorbike, and it would be a hell of a lot cheaper. Yeah. And the effect you'd get wouldn't be as perfect as it is in Fincher's mind, but it would be good enough.
Good enough. And it wouldn't be sturdy trash.
It would be good enough.
Yeah, that's
And he'd be off and make another film that same year. How many years are there between Fincher movies? 5? Well, his last film was Mank.
Yeah.
Was that 2020?
Yeah,
that's
Mank,
4 years ago. Like, Rennie's got 5 out this year.
And like Bricklayer, they're like, hey man, you got 6 weeks, you got like a couple months to go make this. Go to Greece.
Right. Oh, that's too much. That's too long.
Yeah,
that's too much time.
I don't think that's fair. And then, they call Bodies at Rest a super compact cat and mouse thriller, and like, yeah, it's fun, it's good. And I don't know, I just think it's just really weird how a guy who has been kicking around since the 80s, he was like 22 years old when he made his first movie, coming over from Finland, has carved himself like a dang near 40-year career by just making sturdy trash. Like, that's not the case. Like, I don't know. There's a weird elitism in cinema sometimes where you kind of have to think about it. Like, you got to understand the budget, where they're making it, who's making it, when did they make it, who could they bring in, who is it for, and then you put that into context. And so that's just my Renny Harlin rant. I don't think he makes sturdy trash. I think he makes totally fine films.
Yeah, I mean, again, if it's sturdy, it's not trash. If it's useful, it's not trash. Like, if you have a sturdy bookcase, you're not throwing it away. It's not
This is from an engineer, so you know.
It's an oxymoron. Sturdy trash, no.
If you're an engineer and they're like, "How's this work?" Very sturdy.
Oh, throw it away. It's garbage.
Yeah,
get out of here.
I don't know. I think sometimes people want to look down on directors, and maybe that comes from their own insecurities or the fact that they compare everyone to Scorsese. It's or Nolan or who are just unicorns in the directorial game. Like, but I mean, if you look at him on this, like, this is a well shot movie and it's well timed, and it, like, it was kind of crazy. They're like, at one point they were like, hey, we need an airplane to go blow up a car on a bridge. And they're like, well, the airplane's not here. So Rennie's like, can we get a helicopter? And they're like, sure. So then you just go light a fire on a bridge. Like, I don't know. But also too, I think the problem, he's been kind of working on this independent game for a long time, and I think he's kind of become a little bit like, I don't like the VFX of Marvel movies, I don't like this or that, but I think he would knock a Marvel movie out the park, because he is very much so a pay for hire director. Like, he's not going to go add a ton of auteurish flashes. Like, remember the Immortals? It was like half Chloe Zhao, half Marvel, and it just never gelled.
Eternals.
Oh, Eternals. Immortals. Oh, that was by Tarsem Singh.
Film. Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, you like, that never gelled. If they're like, Renny, here's $200 million, go make this script. Renny's gonna go make that script, and it's gonna be good.
I want to see a $200 million Renny Harlin film. I want like how much would Cutthroat Island? How much would that cost? I know
But you know
it's
what though?
too much.
That one had so many other problems though. Like Carrico went out of business, Michael Douglas dropped out. Like I think.
Yeah. Oh, 92 to 98 is the, but like today, that's going to be equivalent of like a 250 million today, isn't it? Yeah.
With those shots that he pulled off in Cutthroat Island though, man, when they're on the top of that boat, like that's a wowzer moment for me. So yeah, give him a Marvel movie, make it more like Civil War where you're not totally all green screen because we don't want another Hercules.
Yeah.
And well, he shot Hercules in 14 hours. So it's give him some time.
He shot it in real time. Like,
I keep getting shorter with the time that he went to make that movie, Jay.
It somehow took less time to shoot than it did to watch. I don't understand.
That's how good he is.
What Marvel film or character should Renny direct? Who should he have?
Like a Daredevil or Bullseye or...
Do we give him like the Namor film to get back in the water so we can cover it?
That's a lot of water.
Yeah, but is Renny?
Oh, that's true. That's a really good name.
All of the MCU characters that I know, they already have films, so I don't know. I'm not a comics guy.
Sure.
Give him an X-Men.
Let's see. Who would he be great with? Give him Namor and $200 million.
Or do we keep him with Sam Jackson and just have another like Nick Fury project?
Give him a $200 million Nick Fury movie.
And bring in Dr. Selvig back from wherever he's been, so we get Stellan back in it.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think any other Deep Sea cast members have been in MCU films until now. So
they should hire Thomas Jane and Aaron Eckhart to be twins.
Sure.
I don't know what as, but just they're killer twins. Oh man, what a movie! Let's do it. That sounds great.
Just see Michael Rappaport in Fallout.
Yeah,
he's having a moment.
Stuck in a robot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. I think we did it.
We did.
We got him. We got Nick Fury, and it would be way better than Secret Invasion and cost less and not go over budget and be terrible.
Yes, I stuck it out with Secret Invasion and.
Oh no.
I regret that.
Yeah, I read the budget for that show and I went, oh man, that's
just like it's at the cast.
It's one of the
wasted Olivia Colman.
So bad. It's one of the worst looking expensive shows ever made. I will say that. There's no reason why it should look as bad as it did.
How much did it cost? Did I ask?
$235 million for like 6 episodes.
I regret asking.
211.6. But it's like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
No, Moon Knight was cheaper. And Moon Knight was done under budget and on time. And Moon Knight's a lot bigger than that.
I guess maybe less effects. No. Plenty of
More.
effects there as well. Yeah.
A giant crocodile fought a giant thing.
But you had all the scrolls and all the transforming. Yeah. Let's not talk about Secret Invasion.
Andor was like the same price.
Andor's phenomenal. Insane. I think absolutely wonderful. But yeah, so Secret Invasion, they've wasted now Olivia Colman, Christopher McDonald. I love Christopher McDonald, and they threw him away.
Kingsley Benadir, who's like hot right now. I feel bad for Amelia Clark. She was in Solo, that didn't do well. She was in Secret Invasion, that didn't do well. She was in Terminator Genesis, that didn't do well.
She was in Game of Thrones, which did a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Oh man. Though I still liked it.
That show went from being like the most popular thing to ever exist, with one of the most popular things ever on TV, to just everyone going, oh no, like immediately. It didn't just it like legit fell off a cliff. It wasn't like it didn't roll down a hill.
Yeah, I didn't see any way they could have like stuck the landing, and I didn't hate how it ended. I didn't have as big a problem as other people
just
did.
Rushed.
Yeah, but like the Emilia Clarke's character in Secret Invasion, how she ends up is like franchise breaking. Yeah, so I'm glad they're just kind of not carrying on with her character. Just like, she's out. She exists, but we're never going to talk about her ever again. Okay, great. So many people have no idea where her character went in that
space.
Show. Just like how her character just no. It's terrible, awful. Anyway,
get a good director. Get Paul. No, wait. I was gonna say Paul Feig, but Ghostbusters fans might lose their mind because I like her in The Last Christmas. Give her a good director. Ron Howard. Put her in a Marvel movie. It'll be good.
I mean, she's worked with Ron Howard before.
Yeah, Ronnie H.
Yeah.
How deep in blue is this movie? There's a lot of mud.
Okay, well, this isn't. Not very. It's not very similar to Deep Blue Sea either. It's quite a short list. So there's people talking to a handheld camera. There's a helicopter destroying a building. A wounded person is carried off in a stretcher to a helicopter. There's a surprise early death with Heather Graham dying very early on. There's drinking scenes. There's a doorway explosion in the same way that Ida Totoro blows up. An ill-advised deadly quest for data. Wading through water. There's like a fiery swamp scene. There's a religious character. Helicopter literally flies into a building. And a climactic kiss that should have been cut. Which in Deep Blue Sea, it was. And in here, it wasn't. They kept it in. And I don't think they should have.
Why does he need another relationship? Like, why is this?
He's been mourning over Heather Graham for a year, and now he's just randomly, like, when the wedding is being blown up, he makes a real effort to only say Emmanuel Chigri. He only dives on her. You're the lady I was staring at earlier. I will save you.
Yep. Oh man. Poor Sloane from Entourage.
How deep and how blue is it? I've already given it away. It's not very deep or blue. So listeners, when I go through these films, I spend way too long working out roughly how deep all of the action taking place is and how blue everything is at any given point. So Deep Blue Sea is, of course, roughly 14.5 meters or 47.5 feet deep and about 31% blue. It's 5 Days of War it's not. It's always above ground apart from when they're in like a basement prison for a little while, and it splits up in helicopters and things. So this works out being 1.65 meters or 5.41 feet up in the air on average, and 1.965% blue. So depth-wise, this is slightly higher than Tremors, and almost exactly as high as Jaws: The Revenge, just very slightly lower, like 1 centimeter lower.
More people need to be eaten on banana boats.
I agree, in every film. I mean, that would maybe spoil the mood a little bit in here, but hey, it'd be great. And blueness, it is slightly bluer than The Descent, and slightly less blue than Renny Harlin's first film, Born American. But Renny Harlin sticking quite near the bottom with most of his films that aren't Deep Blue Sea in this ranking, as you'd expect, because it's the wet films that are the bluer films, and these aren't very wet films.
The 47 meters down and stuff.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, if we were doing the Deep Blue scenes of the film, it would have been the lady being shot in the river, wading through the fiery swamp, and Val Kilmer in a bath. So not many. Yeah,
that's a great bath scene, though.
It is fantastic, and I wished Val Kilmer had been in the bath the whole film. Every time we see him, he should just like be in a bath. When he was in a pub, he should be in a pub, sat in a bath. He like comes up to them in a war zone, as someone just pushing a bath with him in it. That's how
he has a camera scene. And he's just getting pushed.
Yeah, that's his thing. He just films things in baths. He's like the bath time war reporter. That's his bit. No.
It's bulletproof too, so like
it's a bulletproof bath.
Yeah, like a grenade plunks in there at once, and he jumps out, and then his bath blows up. He's like, no.
I mean, they do kill him. They don't show it, but they do kill him. I did enjoy like all of the reporters die. Rupert Friend isn't amongst them, and he has to leave and then get rid of the memory card, and he comes back and all the bodies are gone, and it's like the ending of Identity. Well, like, he's gone everywhere, and there's a body was here, and it's gone, and here, I don't know, the body's here, and it's missing. All the bodies have gone. I just liked that. Like, Identity, a film I loved growing up, and just the ending of that, with like the bodies were all here, and they're not here. The head's gone from the washing machine. I just had flashbacks to that watching the end of 5 Days of War for some reason. I don't know.
A lot of good rain work in that movie.
And nothing but. It's a very, very rainy film.
wet.
Yeah, John Cusack running around in the mud.
Coyle comes back though.
He does. He played dead, and the soldiers, the enemies, the Russians were like, "Why waste the bullet?
Yeah.
This guy's clearly dead. This guy with a
blood
pulse.
on his face.
Yep, must be dead." The other guy with blood on his face, he's running around, but this guy's dead.
Yeah, definitely dead.
Definitely dead.
And I like that there's just an old helicopter that they had, and they just dropped it and blew it up. Like that.
Why not?
Yeah, that's what I love about Renny. He's like, what do you have that's old that I can blow up?
What have we got? Give me something. I need to blow something up. I need to drop something. What have we got?
I need production design. And you can tell when a real helicopter's blowing up as opposed to a VFX helicopter. I love it.
We've had a bunch of exploding helicopters on the show recently. There's one in a tank, which we talked about.
Oh my goodness, the singing scene in the water. She starts doing the backstroke.
I mean,
and then that child gets eaten.
The ending of a tank, the helicopter versus boat versus shark, and then the guy being speared in midair. A tank is glorious. Go back and remember that episode.
Remember that guy? Like the kid gets eaten, and it's just like in the shark's mouth.
The shark's mouth is huge. People can swim around in it. If you haven't seen a tank and you've been put off because it's a Bollywood film with song and dance numbers, just stick with it.
Just watch it.
What you want to do, if you want to skip all the songs, just jump to about the halfway point. Go to about 50 minutes in. If you see a lady running on the beach in the water, singing, start watching there. That's where you need to start watching from.
She's in the water for a long time before she gets eaten.
Yeah, she sings for a while, but then she gets eaten by a shark. So.
I love it so much.
I didn't enjoy it first time around, but then I knew what I was watching. I watched it again, and I loved it. So yeah, great. But I think there's not a lot to talk about with 5 Days of War. It's a film. It exists. If you want to know more about Rupert Friend, go follow him on Letterboxd. But also he's in a film that came up. Having a conversation about Starred Up today. I
like Starred Up.
Starred Up is great. Jackie Connell's from Starred Up.
So good. And he has squirrely Ben Mendelsohn just oozing.
Yes, like from Secret Invasion. But yeah, Starred Up is well worth your time.
I like Jack O'Connell and Ferrari a lot.
Jack O'Connell is just generally great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work much. He's in Priscilla at the moment, not Priscilla. He's in the Amy Winehouse film Back to Black, which I haven't seen, but I hear he's good in it. So. Eden Lake. Is Eden Lake deep and blue at all? Do you reckon? He's got Lake in the title.
Eden Lake. That's the horror movie. That's like a good horror movie with a really good cast.
He's in it. Is it like...
That's Fassbender. Yeah, it's by a lake.
Yeah, okay, on the list. Let's go. And he's in 300 Rise of an Empire, which is a lot of that on a boat, if I recall.
I love that movie so much.
Have you seen it? The 300 sequel?
Yeah, have you seen it?
I haven't.
Oh, man. Eva Mendes just goes full committed, and she is incredible in it. If you could just get on the wavelength of it, I like it more than 300.
I mean, that's been a long time since I've seen 300, but I don't feel compelled to watch it again, I guess.
I remember I was teaching high school, and this kid came in. I was teaching an AP English class, and this kid came in after watching 300, and he goes, "That was the greatest movie." He goes, "That was the greatest movie ever made."
I mean, that's how I was upon leaving the Lego Batman movie. So, I mean, we all have our favourites.
A lot of lobster in that.
Yeah, indeed. Not enough. They're tiny. So I think that's going to do it for 5 Days of War. We tangented a lot. Mark, any plugs?
When's this coming out?
This is coming out probably on the 5th of June.
Okay. So if you go to Halfway Books, it's Shea Serrano's website. And if you go to Halfway Books, you'll see that he has a thing out about Ryan Gosling. I helped him work on that. So he hired me to do research. Awesome. And I turned in 15 pages of research, and then been working with him, like, just research wise. I haven't written it, but like when you hand, like, but he's been like asking me questions. I've been pulling him more data, and like he just seems like he loved what I gave him. So it's cool. Like, my research is going to be part of one of Shea Serrano's New York Times bestselling author ×3, has a hit TV show, wrote a movie recently, had a huge deal with Wondery, like one of the most popular sports podcasts on the planet. I did some research for him, and when you can pre-buy it, it's as of 4/25, it's for pre-sale, but when it goes in May, it'll be up and you can buy it. So
that's incredible. get him on the show.
Now we're I want to be cool. I don't want to let.
Yeah,
I get
it. Shay, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on. I listened to your appearance on the Blank Check podcast, My Die Hard with Vengeance. Excellent show. We'd love to have you on this one too. Thank you. Great.
And then I did a fandom episode that I love about fandom episode where I figure out the best post-apocalyptic world. That'll be out by the time this is out. So go to fandom, buy the numbers. You can read that. And then I got an episode about the Minions coming out for Film Theory soon, so you can watch that.
Is that best post-apocalyptic world as in the one you could survive the longest? The worst. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
So, what's fun about this one is normally I'm really like numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy wins because they have 17 kills. This person has 15 kills. But this one allowed me to be a little bit more creative and silly. So I got to watch them all, and like there's numbers, but it's also like I get to be more creative. So I was very happy with how this episode turned out.
Nice.
I mean, I love all the numbers one too, but this was fun.
As for me, Life vs. Film is my personal site, and you can follow this show all over social media at Deep Blue Sea Pod. Next week might be a new film, Under Paris. It comes out today on the day of release, if this is going to schedule, and so we might be covering that next week, the new Netflix shark French film. If we need to take some more time on that, the next week will be Below, the submarine film we talked about with Luis Coyle recently. I've now watched it, and we'll be talking about that soon. So either come back for Under Paris or Below, two films with things that, like under and below, they mean the same thing. And synonyms in the title. But as unintentional. But as for today's show, as for 5 Days of War, I've been Jake Lewitt.
I'm Mark Bathtub Hoffmeyer.
And we'll deeply see you next week.